Hi there, it's John again, and once again I'm coming to you from lovely Praia de Guayuba here in Guarujá. This has become one of my favorite places here underneath the shade tree. Today I'd like to talk to you about an important decision that you'll want to make probably early on as you look at teaching English online, and that's whether you would prefer to teach English through an online school or teach independently. Now, I do want to say you can do both, right? It's not an either or, and you can migrate, you can go one way, you can go the other, you can do both. However, most teachers choose to focus on one or the other. There's not, of course, a right or wrong answer here. It's a matter of personal preference. So what I'd like to do in this video is to give you some pros and cons to help you make a decision. So let's talk first about online schools. Teaching English online has become a huge business in the last several years. It's really just exploded, and so it's no surprise that there are now many schools which focus on this market. So they focus on bringing together the students and the teachers. Some of the big ones here in Latin America where I am are English Town and Open English. These are a couple that you see on TV all over the place. Some of these schools are more or less global in focus, and others focus on a particular niche. They might focus, for example, well, VIP Kid is a well-known one that focuses on teaching children in China specifically. So there's kind of something for everybody, whatever you're thinking about teaching, whether you would like to teach kids, whether you'd like to teach adults, if you want to teach in a particular geography, there's probably a school that serves that niche. Anyway, there are many schools out there. In section 4 of the course, I list maybe 30, 35 of these in the bonuses section, so you can start going through those, contact them if you decide that that's what you would like to do. Now, why would you want to work for a school rather than independent? I think for a lot of new teachers, it's just a little easier to get started working through a school, particularly as far as the schools will find the students, and that's a biggie. Look, there are a lot of students out there, and you can find students on your own, but I think as you're getting started, when you want to focus really on learning the teaching side of things, you may prefer not to worry about also having to do marketing and finding the students. So that's a big one. Likewise, the schools will handle the receipt of money and disbursement of money to you, so you don't have to worry about that admin. They generally will have their own platform, not always. Sometimes they'll just match you with the students and you'll meet with the student on Skype, but very often the schools will have their own platform, so they handle all of the tech stuff. Again, that's not typically a big deal when you're working independently, but it's one less thing that you have to worry about if you're working through a school. Another thing that's important if you're a new teacher, and particularly if you haven't had experience teaching before, the schools should provide some degree of teacher training. They provide almost always materials. They have an established curriculum which you follow. So it's easy from that standpoint, and lesson preparation is very easy. You just have to say, okay, who's the student, what is the lesson today, spend a few minutes reviewing that, and you're done. So in many ways it's easy, okay? Now, why would you then want to be independent? Well, I'm independent and I really like it. Why would that be? Well, one of the key reasons, I think, is that you typically will make more money being independent. Not always true. I mean, some of the schools these days pay pretty darn well, but still, in general, as a general rule, you'll make more being independent, and it's kind of logical, right? Because you don't have the middleman in there. All of the money that the student pays goes to you. So again, as a general rule, you can make more money, often a good bit more, working independently. But another thing, this is more of an intangible, is freedom and flexibility. And there are a few points under that. What do I mean by that? I can, as an independent, choose which students I want to accept or not. And I don't accept all students anymore. I mean, there's a pressure when you're first starting to accept everybody. You want to fill your schedule, but I fairly often will turn away students, and often it's just a matter of they don't fit into my schedule, but sometimes it's other things. They have a lower level of English than I would like, or sometimes it's a personality thing. So when you work for a school, you may get a pass once in a while on a student, but you're pretty much expected to take the students that they refer to you. Another thing, I have students which have been with me for years, some of them. Most stay with me for several months, and many stay with me for years. When you work through a school, you may not have that continuity. You may just be, it's like reaching into a bag and pulling out, okay, who do I get? Yes, you'll see some students over and over again. They may like you, they may want to sign up to study with you, but you don't have that same degree of control over whom you teach, and you won't have the same continuity. Another thing is, another reason why you might want to be independent is you have greater control over the hours, both the number of hours that you work and which hours that you work. So you working independently, you can work 6 or 8 hours a week if that's all you want. You just want to make a little side income, or you can turn it into a full-time income, as is the case for me. When you work for a school, they're probably going to expect you to work a minimum number of hours a week, and if you don't, they may just stop giving you students. They may also require you to work a certain number of hours during peak time. For a lot of schools, particularly those that service Asia, weekends are big. Okay, a lot of kids and adults study on Saturdays, and so the schools may expect you to work some hours on Saturday, and if that doesn't appeal to you, that's tough. That's a problem. So working independently, you get to decide, do you work Saturdays, do you not? What's your schedule? I have a lot of latitude to set up my schedule. I work pretty heavily Monday through Thursday, and then have Friday's largely an admin day. I have maybe a couple of classes, and Saturday morning maybe I have one or two before I go to the gym. But I am able to set my own schedule. So those are some of the reasons why you might want to be independent. And I don't find the tech issues, the payment issues, the admin stuff to be overwhelming. It's a little bit more than I would have to deal with the school. I have a friend, Mike, who used to be independent, as I am, and got started teaching through a school. It was kind of interesting. It wasn't something he had necessarily decided he wanted to do or planned to do, but he moved to Thailand and found difficulty there finding students, face-to-face students. So he started working with VIP Kid, an online school, and now he really likes it. He makes good money. Actually, makes just about as much per hour as I do, I think. And he likes the fact that he just reviews the lesson and teaches, and then shuts down, and he's done. It's not something that appeals to me. First off, I really wouldn't want to teach children. I like kids, just don't want to teach kids. I don't. It takes a lot of energy and so forth. But he likes it. As he's gotten used to it. A lot of it is just a matter of personal preference. A lot of it is what you get used to. I think another thing is, aside from preference, you may sort of be directed into one or the other. Let's say, for example, you really want to go independent, but maybe you're having some difficulty getting started, finding students. Perhaps you don't have a lot of background yet, and it's a little difficult. Well, you might decide then to start working for a school to get some experience under your belt. The opposite of that might be, maybe you're looking at some schools and none are clicking for you, or maybe they want requirements that you don't have or something, and so you decide to go independent instead. So there are a lot of factors involved here. I'm sorry I can't give you a do this or do that answer, but it's really a lot of it is personal preference. Again, you can do both too. You can work through a school or schools. Contracts usually are not exclusive, so that's an important point to note. You can work for more than one school at a time, but then you can also work toward picking up independent students, and that I think is a common pathway for teachers, is to begin with the school, but then as they get grounded, they get more comfortable in the teaching, they'll begin to add private students on the side. Anyway, I hope. And I tell you what, if you'll click the link below and go over to my Learn More page, learn more about my course, How to Teach English Online from Anywhere, you can sign up to receive a listing of, I don't know, 30 or more online schools to help get you started if you're thinking about working for a school. Hope this has been helpful. See you again soon.